Welcome back to our friends and visitors. We hope you had a great weekend. It's now time for our daily English news edition, weekdays at 6 p.m. The European Parliament members Kukan and Fleckenstein arrived in Tirana today to monitor the progress of the justice reform so far. They met for a work lunch with the Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta, who expressed his gratitude for their support on the decriminalization law. They also discussed the European Parliament's draft resolution for Albania and the progress of the justice reform. They shared the conviction that both the reform and the integration process require consensus and the inclusion of all parties. Kukan and Fleckenstein confirmed the will of the European Parliament to help Albania on its path toward the EU. The MEPs had separate meetings with Prime Minister Rama and the Democratic Chairman Lulzim Basha. Basha declared afterward that they spoke about the justice reform, the elections, and the decriminalization law. He said that he has made a public invitation to Prime Minister Rama for political dialogue, but that Rama has not responded. He clarified that his own party is in favor of dialogue. Somewhat later, the MEPs held a joint press conference with the Assembly Speaker, and Meta praised the contribution of the two men and thanked them for the attention that they are paying to Albania. He said that the implementation of the decriminalization law will begin within 2 months' time. He also emphasized the importance of the justice reform. Kukan and Fleckenstein praised the work that has been done so far on the justice reform and announced that a mission from the European Council will be monitoring the reform in Albania. They gave the reminder that the reform is necessary for progress toward the EU. They expressed their support for Albania and said that they are in favor of determining a date for EU negotiations. The government has admitted for the first time that increasing the taxes has reduced the revenue for the state budget. The factors that have affected the failure to collect the budgeted amount of revenue are listed in the economic program of reforms for 2016 to 2018. Two factors are mentioned, both of which have been rejected by the government prior to this point. First, the program mentions the increase of taxes, and second, that the increase has caused no growth in the revenue of 2015. Instead, discouraging citizens from paying their taxes. The document reads, "The shortage of revenue reflected several of the issues that were forecasted in the 2015 budget. Macroeconomic factors such as the GDP growth being lower than expected, interest rates and oil prices, and the response to the tax increases that came into effect in January of 2015. The state budget is expected to experience revenue troubles again this year. The Minister of Finance has already admitted a loss of $3.5 billion in the budget at the beginning of the year, which he blamed on the falling oil prices. This loss of revenue was intended to be offset by the fight against informality. Minister Tsani stated that there will be no further tax increases, but that there will be legal adjustments that will be made in the fiscal package of 2017. The American Chamber of Commerce has rejected the government's bill obligating all businesses to register with the Public Chamber of Commerce. The bill has already been submitted to Parliament, but the chairman of the American Chamber of Commerce, Mark Crawford, explains that this initiative will not help businesses, instead making them depend upon the government. Mr. Crawford said that the registration fee that each business has to pay in reality is a hidden tax, which increases the cost for entrepreneurs. The American Chamber of Commerce has sent a missive containing the reasons for their rejection of the bill to the Economic Commission. According to the Chamber, the bill has not been consulted with the Association of Businesses, which will be damaged by the initiative. The amendments to the property law were discussed today in the Parliamentary Economic Commission. The Vice Minister of Justice, Arben Isaray, declared that the apartment buildings need to be registered in the early phases of their construction in order to avoid abusive loans, money laundering, and the funding of terrorism. The Vice Minister declared that the changes to the law are intended to improve the situation and to create legal security for the citizens. He also mentioned that the changes were requested by the International Monetary Fund. Even though the changes are meant to put an end to the practice of selling the same building to several people, the opposition members at the Commission were not satisfied with them. According to them, the amendments do not deal with the cases that already exist. In the end, the Economic Commission adopted the changes in principle amid argument and debate. The goal is for the legal changes to the registration of properties will bring fraud in the construction sector to an end. The Socialist MP Ben Blushi has submitted a document to the Socialist Parliamentary Group that indicates all the points in which the party statute has been violated. After a meeting of the Socialist Group today, Mr. Blushi declared that at least 30% of the articles of the statute have been breached. He said, "The principle of elections has been violated. No elections have been held. The principle of incompatibility of mandates has been violated. Half of the party members are ministers and secretaries. The principle of accountability within the party has been violated. The principle of party funding has been violated. There is no transparency concerning the donations that are funding the party. This is not merely a debate within the Socialist Party. This is a fundamental debate. Can Albania be a democratic country when there are no democratic parties? Can Albania have justice, credible institutions, and a decriminalized parliament if the parties are not open and democratic and if they do not hold elections? The lack of elections is a violation of the rights of its members. In this way, they turn the party into a private business, and they accept the incriminated because they have need of their funds," said Blushi. He stated that he has the support of other socialist MPs in this matter. The Minister of European Integration has convened the Interagency Coordinating Committee to ask for more commitment from the ministers and vice ministers. She made the following address to the committee. The Ministry of Integration, as the coordinator of this process, has a role that is closely linked to the information that was forwarded by your ministries and institutions. The reporting in Brussels could not be realized without them, and therefore the assessment would not be at the appropriate level. The quality of information and the compliance with deadlines are an obligation that must be met by all, because it is the only way the country can advance toward the European Union, said Minister Josha. She went on to say that the National Integration Plan for 2016 through 2020 comes with an element of novelty. For the first time, she said, we have the funding for all the measures contained in this plan, a request that was initially made by the Ministry of Integration and realized in collaboration with the Technical Assistance Project SME 3. Your commitment is now required for preparation and adoption of the planned actions and accurate fulfillment of all of its measures. The minister emphasized that reporting will be done every 3 months on the progress of the plan. She also asked for continued work on adapting the Albanian legislation with that of the European Union. Kosovo's President Atifete Yahyaga called the leaders of the main parties to a meeting today to discuss a solution to the political crisis in the country. The meeting was also attended by the U.S. ambassador and the EU representative for Kosovo. Only one member from the opposition accepted the invitation and came to the meeting, the head of the Alliance for the Future of Kosovo, Ramush Haradinaj. After the meeting, he had this to say, "I ask that the country should go to early elections as the only way to overcome this crisis. Also, I ask for the president to be elected through a direct vote. My presence here shows the will of the opposition to provide help in order to overcome this crisis. The opposition is united in this," said Haradinaj. During the meeting, a number of the other leaders spoke out against Haradinaj and the opposition. The Vice Prime Minister Hashim Thaçi claimed that he is only interested in taking power, and the Prime Minister demanded that the opposition abandon its acts of violence. On her part, President Yahyaga thanked the party leaders who responded to her invitation. She said afterward that the meeting was held in a constructive spirit and that reestablishing the dialogue between the parties is the only way to reach consensus. The political crisis in Kosovo began after the government signed the agreements with Serbia and Montenegro in Brussels. That's the end of our edition for this evening. Thanks again for watching, and please join us again at 6 p.m. tomorrow for more news in English. Thanks, and have a great night.